rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Oh, my goodness. I can never get this microphone in the right spot. Anyway, yeah, let's roll, my unofficial producer says. All right, we'll go ahead and get a bunch of rolling going on here. Well, the SAVE Act was voted upon today, and, it passed in the House again for, like, I don't know, the third time, maybe? Fourth, fifth, whatever. Anyway. It went along party lines with the exception of one idiot from the Republicans. I'll identify that idiot here in just a little bit. Also, too, we have the upcoming, it will be upcoming vote again in the Senate, because obviously the House and the Senate have to pass it first before it can go to the desk of the president. So anyway, we'll discuss all of that. Also, too, we've got some information coming out of Minnesota. Tom Homan has decided that, the major push is over in Minnesota. But there was a surprising number of, I'll tell you in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight's Pledge of Allegiance is going to be done by none other than our own 3 Chevy. That's right. 3 Chevy is up for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance. He's sitting over there and in the green room warming up his vocal cords by doing the scales, although I can't really tell if he's like on key, off key, whatever kind of key. Anyway, if you are of mind, please stand, remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with 3 Chevy as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There he is. And, of course, I thank him for that wonderful rendition of the pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file is generated. Attach it to an email and then address that email to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. If you do it on your phone, you can use the share option, S-H-A-R-E, share option, and send it to me as well. Send it to fans at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. Let's see. Headline sponsor. Let's go ahead and do them. There they are. The Institute on the Constitution. Now, the Institute on the Constitution has been around since 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission. And that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education from a biblical world view. And they recommend that you do this, helping them out. First of all, you got to head over to theamericanview.com. That's theamericanview.com. That's their website. And if you want to help restore the republic, you need to take these 3 action steps. Step number 1, of course, is to pray. Never forget to pray for your country. Again, unite with Christians from around the world who are praying fervently for America. Then they want you to study. Well, you can study with all 4 of their courses, their core courses. Plus, you have state constitution courses as well. We suggest beginning with their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Now, if you go to their U.S. Constitution course page, so you click on theamericanview.com and do /study if you want to go right to it. But go to theamericanview.com, and when you're there, oh, goodness. When you're there, what you can do is click on the study option, and that will bring you to this page, and you'll fill out this form that's right above my head right here. It's all you need is your name, first name, last name, and then your email, and they will start sending you lessons from the free online course, 100% free online course. There's 12 short lessons, and short, they're about 15, 20 minutes long. 12 of them that they'll send to you, 1 per week. So it's about a 12-week course, and you can go through it at your own leisure. And once you do that, that's the start. Then once you do that, they recommend that you go through one of their courses that they have one of the courses that they have live, and you can go and check them out. There's the list. You can scroll down on that study page, and you'll be able to see all of the courses that are available for in-person courses. And then after you've studied all of their courses, they recommend that you go and you act, and you become an instructor. This way you can help them spread the grassroots education about our absolutely wonderful country and the founding. And they start you off. You can take a look at one of these 2 videos. There's one, how to become an IOTC instructor. It's pretty easy. And then they have 5 tips for a successful class. Both of those videos are available. And then you can go and purchase the instructor kit on their website. You can also head over to their shop. And if you head on over to their shop, you can pick up all of their courses. You can pick up other educational resources, books, student materials, civics, faith, character. There's a bunch of books in there. I've shown a few of them to you before. But my personal favorite is the Legacy Library, because if you head on over to the Legacy Library, there's this wonderful little book right here. You can see it on the screen, but I'll show it to you right here in my hand. Is this wonderful little book. And this little book is the Constitution of the United States. It's in Saddleback, a leather-bound copy of the U.S. Constitution. You can get yours, or you can go and find yours directly by going to constitution.americanperspective.online. That'll direct you right to the page that you see there. It is a sexy rounded corners book. And it's got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. There is stitching all the way through. And according to Nana, stitching is so strong it can keep your mother-in-law's views tied up. Wow, talk about a creative way of attaching two of the sponsors to the show. Anyway, G says the stitching is referred to by Lord of the Rings fans as Legolas's bowstring, preserving peace, plus the order from time immemorial. Anyway, go to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. My youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve your civics badge in Scouts as well as your civics exam. Probably also will help you pass that naturalization test as well. But go and check them out. Go and get yours. Here, I'll give you a bigger look at the book. There it is. Go and check it out today. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours. I have mine, and I carry it. I have it nearby, obviously, all the time for the show because I refer to it quite often. Anyway, head on over to theamericanview.com, theamericanview.com, to go and check out the Institute on the Constitution, their classes, all their wonderful books and everything else. And yeah, so there you go. theamericanview.com for the Institute on the Constitution. I thank them for being a show sponsor. All right. So let's get into it. Well, apparently CNN, that's the Clinton News Network, the Communist News Network, the, I don't know, Comedy News Network, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, they have had some serious problems over the past decade. Somebody went and did an analysis of their last 10 years, and they have lost two-thirds of the of their viewers. That's right, 2/3 of their viewers. Warner's Discovery Board keeps fighting to keep its cable channels. At this point, they have two offers on the table. One of them from Netflix. The other one is from Paramount Skydance. And, yeah, so the board, the WBD board, has warned shareholders to stick with Netflix, to reject Paramount, by arguing that the cable-focused new company left after Netflix's split would bring steady value. However, their expensive news channel has lost 2/3 of its viewership over the past 10 years, the Daily Mail reported yesterday. So the decrease went from roughly 1.3 million in 2016 down to a whopping 553,000 now. Yeah. Now, the results recorded this past month by Nielsen ratings are actually an improvement from January, when stars like Jake Tapper, Anderson Cooper, Aaron Burnett, and Caitlin Collins only secured 488,000 sets of eyes. Anyway, the network's daytime lineup has seen a similar decline as hosts such as Wolf Blitzer failed to move the needle, dropping from 752,000 to 433,000. When compared to the same part last year in 2021, same part of the year in 2021, the drops were even more pronounced, 71% for primetime and 73% during the day. I'm going to be honest with you. Not like I'm never not honest with you, but I would imagine that 553,000 viewers is all made up numbers based off of the fact that they have CNN oftentimes on TV in almost every single airport that I have ever visited, and almost every single hotel lobby that I have visited. CNN is almost always on. I think that's where they're getting their stuff. I think that's where they're getting the numbers. So anyway, one CNN exec blamed news consumers for changing habits and choosing alternative means to keep up with the news. When you lie often and you lie convincingly to make you think that you're actually telling the truth, and your audience knows that you're not, well, that's what does it. Another competing executive scoffed at that explanation, meaning the choosing of alternative means, noting that other networks haven't lost anywhere near that level of viewership. Certainly applies to Fox News. Fox News averaged 1.7 million total day viewers to lead all of basic cable, while the number two, ESPN, only averaged 775,000. Yeah, 775,000 viewers. MS Now, which was formerly MSNBC, managed to get 552,000 total daily viewers. CNN, of course, trailed the pack at 436,000. Yeah. Anyway, during the primetime hours of 8 to 11 p.m., Fox News averaged a staggering 2.7 million viewers to win atop the cable landscape. ESPN finished with second with 2 million. MS Now came in third with just under 1 million. TNT finished fourth with 778,000, and CNN delivered only 580,000 average viewers. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. They're just so bad. They're just so bad. In fact, the only reason to watch CNN nowadays, is for the what is his name? Oh yes, the Scott Jennings truth bombs. And we've got another one for you today. Yeah, Scott Jennings. He's probably the only person who is like standing up to the whole thing, you know, keeping CNN viewers hot. But here,
he is actually championing a bill that actually would take voting rights away from a lot of black people in this country, all during Black History Month, and then called the president, the first black president and the first lady, monkeys and apes in this during this month. So this doesn't absolve Donald Trump of his racism. We all know exactly who he is. The reality is the conversation and the question should be, why do people continue to support him if they don't want us to believe they are okay with racism?
Wait, what voting rights is he taking away from black voters?
Oh, if we look at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to disenfranchise black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0. So this is the same president. If we want to continue...
You haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have... That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country, and it's going to disenfranchise black voters.
Concern you that you're making all these claims? You've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of black voters think we should show an ID to vote. 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that black voters are too dumb to know what's good for them? I mean, it sounds pretty condescending to me.
That's
not what
you get
three-quarters of black voters who want voter ID.
That's not.
You know, the I don't know what they call her, the moderator. Or the person, you know, the one that's sitting right above me in the video. She's sitting there trying to say the SAVE Act isn't just about IDs. Really? It's not? I seem to recall showing the SAVE Act not too long ago. And in fact, while I'm sitting here, let me just... let's just take a look. Let's go Save America Act. There we go. Here's the H.R. 22, the SAVE Act, sponsored by Chip Roy. And here is, Yeah, it's not just about ID. Oh, yeah, it is. Here, I'm going to read it to you. This bill requires individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Excuse me, that's the very first line. Then it goes on and it says, specifically, the bill prohibits states from accepting and processing an application to register to vote in a federal election unless the applicant presents documentary proof of U.S. citizenship. It's more than about IDs. No. It's literally just show me that you are a U.S. citizen. That's an ID. Oh, my gosh. It also goes on to specify what documents are considered acceptable proof of U.S. citizenship, such as identification that complies with the Real ID Act of 2005. By the way, the Real ID Act of 2005, indicates citizenship. Oh, says it right here. Oh, let me just show you. I got to get closer on this. There it is. The Real ID Act of 2005 that indicates U.S. citizenship. Yeah, it's not about ID. Oh, no, it's more than just ID. No, it's not. That's literally all the SAVE Act is Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. I don't know how much more that we can sit here and talk about this. Yeah, okay. Well, hey, not to mention the fact, and I'm also, again, these people are dumb. These people are incredibly stupid. And I wish kind of 3 Chevy was in the chat, because he had a individual on his Facebook page that basically was saying, well, I don't have to prove my citizenship. I'm an American. Now, they were talking about ICE in particular, but I was like, hey, have you ever heard of Real ID? Have you ever heard of Real ID? And they were like, the person's like, how does that have anything to do with anything? Well, it has a lot, because, again, Real ID, the Real ID Act of 2005 requires an indication of citizenship. Yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. Ugh. I just can't. I can't. I'm sorry. These people, no, I'm not sorry. These people are just so damn stupid. They're completely dumb. Oh, and by the way, I'm just going to take a look. Let's see. States that don't comply with the Real ID Act. Oh, let's see here. What do I get out of this? Oh, hey. By the way, hello. Here it is. As of 2026, all U.S. states and territories now issue Real ID compliant driver's licenses or identification cards. What? Oh, and by the way, Washington State being one of those. They do not issue a standard Real ID with the star marking. Instead, it only offers what's called enhanced driver's licenses, which are Real ID compliant. Michigan, Minnesota, New York, and Vermont all offer enhanced driver's licenses as compliant alternatives, which, by the way, you have to have a Real ID compliant license in order to fly. Yeah. If you have to fly, or if you have to go into any kind of federal building, you've got to have real ID. You got to have a real ID compliant identification. Meaning that, you know, you don't, yeah. So you're already proving that you're an American citizen. Now, I, of course, have constantly stated over and over and over again that the best way to handle this would have been just, hey, everybody, I mean, we're already there. Real ID is basically like a sub-level passport. I mean, why not just issue passports to everybody? Forget this real ID crap. Just say, hey, everybody, when you turn 18, you submit your paperwork, or when you're getting ready to turn 18, you submit your paperwork and you get a passport. There, it's over and done with. Everybody has a passport, which confirms that you are a U.S. citizen. Everybody has a passport, and everybody confirms they're a U.S. citizen that way. That way you don't have to have all these different variations, like ones with stars, ones with an American flag, ones with enhanced driver's licenses, so on and so forth. Now, most of them do have a star because that's the Real ID Act's requirement. But yeah. So, oh my God, these people. And you know, the argument that they put forth, by the way, in terms of the SAVE Act, the part that they argue over is, you know, for an example, women. Oh my gosh, you women, if you get married and change your name. Yeah, let me see here. I'm sliding down into the document because there is a section. Let's see. Notifications. I'm trying to find it. It's in here. Where if you change your name, you can bring like your original birth certificate and the name that is used. Oh yeah. Here we go. Process for those without documentary proof. Well, here's one. Subject to any relevant guidance adopted, the Election Assistance Commission in each state shall establish a process under which an applicant who cannot provide documentary proof of United States citizenship under paragraph 1 may, if the applicant signs an attestation under penalty of perjury that the applicant is a citizen of the United States, eligible to vote or elections for federal office, submit such other evidence to the appropriate state or local. Yeah, so basically, again, it's giving you options to get, you know, giving you options to get out. Oh my God, I can't even believe this. How is it that these people are so dumb? I mean, seriously, how is it that these people are so dumb? You know, and white liberals in particular, they're the ones that really think that black voters and married women are too stupid to get ID. You know, that CNN gal, she happened to be black. But seriously, I mean, all of them, every single one of them, you talk to Elizabeth Warren. I've played Elizabeth Warren. I mean, it's like, really? Come on. I can't even imagine this. All right. Well, they passed it. The House passed it. Chip Roy, they passed the Save America Act. They finally did it. Well, again, I think it's like the third time. The last time it was passed was like 300 days ago. But here's the problem. That's only one part of the hurdle. For those of us who remember, you know, Schoolhouse Rock, where it starts off, I'm just a Bill. I'm a lonely old Bill, just sitting here on Capitol Hill. Yeah. They have to they pass the bill in either the House or the Senate. Then it goes to the other house, whichever way it is. Okay. And that house has to pass it. And if that house makes changes to it, then passes it, then it has to go back to the originating house. And that originating house then has to accept the changes and pass it. That's how our system of government works here, people. This is Civics 101. In fact, I don't even think it's 101. It's like Civics sub 100, Civics 90. I mean, this is how civics works. And you know, there are so many people who apparently don't seem to understand civics. Now, there's a lot of people, by the way, who are sitting here who are saying, oh, my God, it's voting, you can't do this. The Constitution states that the states are the ones that have to deal with voting. Well, let's go to our wonderful and let's see here. I think it's under let's see. I can't remember where it is now. Now that I called myself on the carpet for it, I can't remember where it is here. Let's see. So there's the bills. There's that. Actually, I think it might be. No preference. No, it's not under Section 9. I'm trying to find it here. I know it's in here somewhere. Anyway, I'll find it somewhere. Anyway, it's in the Constitution where it states that Congress can make any law or regulation with the exception of choosing senators, or the places of choosing senators. That's the only thing that Congress can't change in terms of elections. The states and the state legislatures, yes, they have the power unless Congress adds a rule or regulation by law. So this has got to go in place. Well, the final passage advanced by a very narrow, and I'm talking one vote, a very narrow vote of 216 to 215. Yeah. Actually, that was after the final passage. Well, Massey, Thomas Massey, he voted against it because there was a procedural vote on a rule to consider the Save America Act as well as several other pieces of legislation, and that rule advanced by a narrow 216 to 215 vote. The original vote was passed by 218 to 213 in a nearly party line vote. The lone Democrat Representative Henry Cuellar from Texas, he voted in favor of the bill at first. Then they went into the procedural vote where they narrowly passed it 216 to 215, where Thomas Massey voting against it. On X, Massey wrote that he opposed the rule about considering several other pieces of legislation, apparently, that he opposed the rule despite supporting the Save America Act, citing language in the rule that would fast-track spending bills. So, anyway, yeah. The House has passed it. They've passed it. And now it's got to go to the Senate. And it's going to face a much harder uphill climb in the Senate. And the reason being is not just because the Democrats have, a pretty good line. You have, of course, the filibuster. With only 53 seats in the Senate, the Republicans do not have the votes to be able to break the filibuster and reach a 60 filibuster-proof majority. But it's even worse than that. Because we have some rhino senators that are out there. there are some Senate Republicans, some sources are saying, that they don't want to see the popular election integrity measure come up for a vote. As you heard, that's vote, not boat. As you heard, Scott Jennings say 83% of Americans think that we should be using ID to prove citizenship. So, yeah. Anyway, this is a no-brainer, people. I don't even understand why the Senate Democrats are even thinking about trying to fight this. But, yeah, the Republicans don't have the 60 votes necessary to invoke cloture and move the election reform bill to the floor without a majority vote. And sources say the majority might not even have enough votes to meet the simple majority threshold. So existing Senate rules open the door for the talking filibuster, meaning that the Senate Democrats would be forced to keep debating, talking to stall a vote. Now let's see. There was this one time I recall from history that Senate Democrats filibustered a particular bill. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes. Civil Rights Act of 1965. That's right. The longest filibuster in history. They, meaning the Democrats, didn't want the black Americans to get their civil rights. They didn't want it to pass, and so they filibustered for something like, I don't know, I can't remember the exact number, but there were so many weeks. They had people. Now, I have a feeling that this is probably going to be the same case. How much you want to bet they're going to go and say, hey, you know what, folks? We're going to try and go for the record here on this. How much? I mean, seriously, 80% of Americans, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't make any difference. Even 71% of their own party, the Democrats, support voter ID. How is it that they could not sit here and say, you know what? Yeah, we're good. We're going to go ahead and pass it. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said earlier this month that the SAVE Act is dead on arrival in the Senate, and every single Senate Democrat will vote against any bill that contains it. Well, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman proving that to be a routine thorn in the side. I don't know why this guy doesn't just turn into an independent. Or better yet, just says, you know what, screw it, I'm with the Republicans. Anyway, he signaled his support for the Save America Act. He's the smartest Democrat there is in the Senate right now. John Fetterman is. With his hoodie and his shorts that he wears all the time. You know, they had to relax the rules in terms of the dress code in order for him to be able to go and be a senator. Oh, my God. Anyway, he was arguing that voter ID is not a radical idea. No kidding. Wow, he's like this. I'm going to tell you, I kind of like this guy now that he's like regained consciousness from his. Maybe that's what we need. No, I'm not going to say that. Anyway. Now, here's a more deeper issue, though. We already know the Democrats are not going to go for it. Well, with the exception of John Fetterman. We already know all of that. But according to certain congressional sources, there are some Senate Republicans who don't want to put themselves and their colleagues on the other side of the aisle through the Democrats' expected extended temper tantrum. So, wait a minute. There's Republicans who are basically saying, hey, you know what? We don't want the Democrats to look like asses in front of the American people. And so we're probably going to vote no on the damn thing just to keep, them happy. What? 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 The Wisconsin Republican, let's see, what's his name? I gotta find it here. John, something Johnson. Where is it? Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. There it is. Ron Johnson. I couldn't think of it. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin told the Federalists Monday afternoon, "We have to convince our colleagues that this is a popular enough piece of legislation, one that we have to pass." He continues and says, "They think how difficult it's going to be and how much we can be assured of success. They think if we take floor time for this, we won't be able to pass X, Y, and Z, but we're not going to pass X, Y, and Z anyway. So let's focus on something that we can pass, something that's worthy of passing." Now, Senate Democrats, of course, have grown quite fond of the filibuster, yet they keep arguing and they keep saying that they're going to eliminate the filibuster if they go into power next year. Okay. So, why not just go and get rid of the filibuster? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think the filibuster has saved us from very bad legislation more than it has necessarily blocked us from passing really good legislation. That's just an anecdotal. I'm not saying that because I have any real statistics on the whole thing. But the fact that Democrats have employed it several times, including regular filibusters, to strangle bills barring men pretending to be women from competing in women's sports, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which would have required medical care for babies born after the abortions were botched. Okay. In the current session of Congress, according to this Federalist piece, 225 cloture motions have been filed as of February 6th. Many of the Dems filibusters have been what's called the silent type versus the talking type. Now, last week, Senate Majority Leader Thune reportedly said that there was nothing decided on changing the rules to require a talking filibuster, which is a proposal the South Dakota Republican said that some of his Senate colleagues are interested in. Some GOP senators, like Johnson from Wisconsin, would like to see more bang for the buck out of an election integrity bill. In essence, if you're going to go through the trouble of having to listen to the likes of Cory Spartacus Booker drone on in adult diapers for hours at a time, you might as well put more meat on the bone, he says. Johnson, Rick Scott of Florida, and Mike Lee of Utah, who is a co-author of the bill, met with Trump last week to discuss the bill language. Trump actually wants to eliminate mail-in voting as well, but Republicans are looking to limit it. Johnson told Wisconsin Public Radio last week that "I think we need to tighten up on requirements for absentee voting. I'm opposed to mail-in register or mail-in balloting." I mean, hell, if they're gonna go ahead and filibuster for this, for just the SAVE Act by itself, why not? Why not add in things like, oh yeah, you can't do all mail-in voting? That would destroy the state of Washington completely. And by destroy, I mean destroy the stranglehold that the Democrats have on the state. But yeah. Still, there are some Republicans that are thinking that we just want this legislation to go away. So, right. Anyway. Usual rhinos like Senators Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine, who think it's uncivil to upset the friends on the left. Why would they even have friends on the left? The left is so damn stupid. Why? Anyway. The SAVE Act, introduced in the Senate last year, had garnered 49 Republican co-sponsors. Collins and Murkowski were not on that list. Now, neither one of them answered the Federalist emails on Monday, asking whether they support either bill, the SAVE or the Save America Acts, or whether they would vote for the bills or back the talking filibuster. None of it. Anyway. So, yeah. There's also some suggestion that even John Cornyn of Texas, even though his office notes that he's a longtime co-sponsor of the SAVE Act and the Save America Act, there's some talk that even he doesn't want the bills to come up for a vote. And other congressional sources have told the Federalists the same, that Cornyn doesn't want it. Yeah. Anyway, we also have another person. And this guy really could do something harmful to this. Good old Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, by the way, is preparing to ride off into the congressional sunset. He's about ready to retire, but as far as he's concerned, he wants to stick it to Donald Trump as often as he can. And a couple people, like a top congressional aide, told the Federalist on Thursday afternoon that McConnell is basically going to try and stall this thing, which he has. The original SAVE Act has been stalled in Senate committee. And this congressional aide believes that that's exactly what McConnell is doing. And personally speaking, he said, quote, "I think it still stems from January 6th, the Capitol riots." The aide added, "Of course, Trump hasn't had nice things to say about McConnell and vice versa, but I think it's personal, no matter what McConnell says." So, yeah, he has been slowing things down on anything that is close to the SAVE Act, the Save America Act, so on and so forth. He's held it up for nearly 300 days since the Republican-controlled House passed the first measure. Yeah. Well, Texas Representative Brandon Gill wrote on X earlier this week that I just sent a letter to Mitch McConnell asking his committee to stop stalling the SAVE Act. The House did its job. The Senate needs to do theirs. I mean, again, 83% of Americans want this. They want this. Okay? Now, the 2026 midterms, of course, are swiftly approaching, according to Gill. Congress cannot afford to delay the consideration of critical legislation that would assure the trustworthiness of our elections. The Texas congressman notes that 48 of McConnell's Republican Senate colleagues, which is a supermajority of the Republican Senate Conference, have co-sponsored the legislation, while McConnell himself is not one of them. So, yeah. Majority Leader John Thune last week said the provision requiring voters present an eligible photo ID before casting their ballots would come to the floor at some point. Yeah. Chip Roy, said in a statement, he's like, hey, once the bill passes the House, Leader Thune, meaning the Senate Leader Thune, must bring it to the Senate floor and force Democrats to explain why they are opposing securing our elections. That's a good question. Why are they? Why are they? So, I don't know. I don't understand this. This doesn't make any sense. And, of course, the Democrats keep talking about it being, Jim Crow 2.0 and like poll taxes, like that other idiot did. So, anyway. Yeah. And by the way, in case you are really wondering, yes, non-citizens have voted in U.S. elections. They do to this day, and so this is part of the reason why. In fact, it's the only logical reason why, as to why the Democrats are trying to block this from occurring, because they'll lose a large voters block. So, anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes, here it is. The Elections Clause in the Constitution states the times, places, and manner holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislator thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. Congress can pass this law. They can pass it. So, and by the way, the SAVE Act by itself actually fixes a flawed section of the national election law that we already have in place, known as the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, which bars states from requiring documentary proof of U.S. citizenship up when registering to vote. So they had a glorified honor system added in. It's not, the SAVE Act by itself and requiring that vote is essentially fixing a problem, a open space in it. So there you go. Now, the Federal Elections Campaign Act of 1971, which is another act that has passed, that law bans foreign nationals from making contributions in connection with any federal, state, or local election. Yeah. So, Anyway, it's not a matter of federalizing elections, folks. It's another thing that the Republicans, the rhinos, keep talking about. It's not federalizing elections. It's just making some common rules across the board, sort of like the whole naturalization thing back in when the Constitution was created. It's just making the same rules across the board for it. So, anyway, if any version, by the way, does make it to the Senate floor, Democrats would kill it through cloture. Standing alone, the bill would need 60 votes to survive the final Senate action. Republicans have 53. There just might be a way to get around the filibuster threat, though. The majority could bypass the so-called silent filibuster and make Democrats do the talking filibuster, which I think they should. And Democrats eventually would run out of time should they pull a Spartacus and drone on for a day straight. With 47 Senate Democrats, the talking filibuster could take a mighty long time without restrictions. But a couple of people are saying, hey, force them to do that rather than the current procedure. Make them work for it. Make them justify to the American people why they are against something that is 83% popular. And I agree. Go for it. Yeah. But none of that means anything if McConnell decides to sit on it like he already has. This is the one thing, folks, that could actually that would actually be able to, seriously, in an easy fashion, it would gain the popularity of the American people. The populace are already behind it, but it would gain that popularity. But then also at the same time, it would destroy the Democrats' hopes of being able to keep using illegal aliens in their vote counts. So, yeah. Well, one other thing that's potentially going over to the Senate is, again, the whole DHS funding. It's all part of it. And Schumer, again, keeps saying, hey, we're not going to fund DHS because we're not going to fund ICE. Well, there's only one problem. DHS actually covers a lot more than just ICE. There's FEMA, TSA, as a couple of things if you think that TSA is bad now, just wait until they stop funding for them. Now, granted, TSA is going to continue to work just like any other government shutdown would. But yeah, this is just crazy. They've got other agencies that are all a part of DHS that would disrupt important operations, including seizing illegal drugs, responding to natural disasters, combating child exploitation, arresting human traffickers, preventing cyber attacks. All of this stuff is part of the DHS. All of this is part of the DHS. And that would be what they are shutting down by not funding the DHS. At least part of it. So, yeah. And Democrats are playing reckless political games at the expense and suffering of the American people. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, their theatrics, according to Evans, Gabe Evans from Colorado, a Republican, he says, make no mistake, their theatrics aren't about saving lives or protecting families. It's all about political leverage, even if it weakens our public safety and disaster response. So, yeah, there you go. And they're still talking about it, about breaking it down. Well, in these last final minutes, I just want to let you know that whole Fulton County thing that the FBI went and found and all this other stuff. There's a watchdog that has revealed that over 17,000 digitally tallied votes apparently have no actual ballots to match. This is a Georgia election watchdog that has made this statement. Now, keep in mind, again, just to remind you, Biden won Georgia by a mere 11,000 votes. So now this allegation not only casts doubts on the 2020 presidential election results, but also on the security of our election systems ahead of this critical midterm election. So not only Georgians, but all Americans should be concerned about this case and the strong possibility that Biden actually did not win that state in 2020. Now, again, keep in mind, even though other states you may not have had a problem, other states, even if one single county in a single state had election-altering issues, the high likelihood is that others did as well. In fact, in Arizona, according to the author here in PJ Media, there's evidence that there were multiple illegal ballot types being counted in 2020, among other serious problems. And if these problems are not addressed, they will come back to bite us in another election. So, yeah. VoterGA.org is the one that said there were images that were certified for which they have no digital ballot images and likely no ballots for. But they were counted. Yeah. This is a serious problem that all needs to get fixed, hopefully soon. All right, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free, and once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified when I go live. Also, too, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a thumb sideways across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, or Facebook, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.